He leads us all the way, playing proper football, the Sheff United way. Ale, 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 ale.
Welcome. We're going to look back on a draw with West Bromwich Albion. I feel like I've said that already this season. Blades, blunt, brunts, baggies is what I wanted the headline to be because I was quite proud of that. But I've said it anyway, so I still got it out there. But definitely not. In fact, this was a game that I think a draw, most of us would agree, fair result. Just not the match that I think we thought it was going to be. Maybe when you looked at it after the first game with West Brom this season, because 8 players out for United, and that does make a huge difference. Jezren Raksaki, Harry Souttar, and oh my goodness me, if that is the Achilles, like Danny Hall has reported this morning, the same injury that John Egan suffered, we're talking about that probably being the last time we saw Harry Souttar play for us in our previous match to this. And that is sad news because he's a hard player to replace, just because you're talking about defensive qualities, that presence, that height, that aerial ability, just such a useful player to have. And I thought he really did excel this season, has been one of the players of the season. So to lose that, huge. Vinny Souza, also a huge miss. Tyrese Campbell, arguably our best striker. Ollie Arblaster, our captain. I mean, this is the spine of the team that I'm listing here. Jamie Shackleton, who I think realistically has been one of those signings that you probably go, well, this hasn't really worked out. It might do come the end of the season. Who knows? He needs to be fit. Sashdev and Sariki. So I just listed 3 players there at the end that can all play right back. So down at the bare bones, and that was evident when you saw the bench today. But we go through the team: Cooper, Gilchrist, Burrows, Anel, Souttar, Robinson, Davies, Peck, O'Hare, Brooks, first start for 2 months, Harmer, Moore, 3 teenagers on that bare bones bench, including attacking right back Sam Colchin, who's progressed through the Blades Academy since joining at the age of 8 back in 2016. West Brom, as I mentioned, managed by Chris Brunt. They had Palmer, Furlong, Kyle Bartley, their captain and former Blade, Hegum, who always impresses me, Styles, Fellows, Diakite, Malumbi. He was lucky to stay on today. Johnston, or John Stone, if you want to pronounce it like that. Grant Madger, second top scorer in the league, but been a while since he's bagged for the Baggies. So what did you make of this game before I go into it and kind of do it the way I do it, the dissection route? Let me know, and I'd be really interested. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can let me know live. You can let me know later whenever you watch it in the comments. If you're listening on audio podcast, you can comment there as well, whatever medium you choose to do it. Now, Brooks set up more early biscuits in this game. 2 minutes, it was a big chance in the box, but Kiefer Moore, who I didn't think was on it today, on his left foot, and he knows he's got a left foot. We know he's got a left foot because we saw him use it very recently, scoring against Cardiff. But it was a half volley, 7 yards out, not far out, didn't get a proper connection, and he went harmlessly wide. And I feel like this is a chance that will be forgotten because it was so early on, but it was a big miss. West Bromwich Albion's passing early on was sloppy. That would change. I thought their passing throughout, apart from the first few minutes, was pretty good, pretty crisp. But early on, if you do watch it again, not good. Harrison Burrows looked lively in an attacking capacity early on, and he would continue to look lively in an attacking capacity. Styles had a shot on 10 minutes, West Brom's first chance of the match. It was straight at Cooper. On 17, Kiefer Moore stood on Kyle Bartley. Now, it looked accidental, but Bartley was not happy. He was complaining to the referee, Stuart Atwell, saying that it was studs, saying that Kiefer Moore had done it on purpose. I'm pretty sure it was accidental. Bartley went down. Kiefer walked backwards, couldn't see it was behind him, but it was studs on the shin, and it did draw blood. West Brom grew into the game, I think it's fair to say. I thought United had the better of the first 20 minutes, then West Brom had the better of it for a spell. They had just sort of grown into the match. But one thing that was really strange in this game, and maybe it's my fault because I praised him last match, Tom Davies looked out of sorts. And I just mentioned that because he's been so reliable and arguably been our best midfielder without Vinny Souza. He just seems to create space. And when he turns, it's intelligent. He seems to look up when he gets the ball. All the class things you'd expect from a player that's played as many times as he has in the Premier League. But I don't think he was quite at his best today. We did have a goal, though, on 23 minutes. Andre Brooks, the live wire, I thought he was very good today. On his 44th appearance for Sheffield United, boyhood Blade, scored his first ever Blades senior goal. Diakite, starting only his second game, robbed after a very heavy touch by Brooks. He robbed him of it. He laid it to Callum O'Hare, who backheeled it in the box. It was absolute filth from Callum O'Hare. A lovely link-up, lovely team goal, and Brooks passed it into the corner. And the away side had, as mentioned, started to look good. But then when United pounced on that defensive error, that is football, we had the lead, 1-0. Diakite genuinely looked like he was about to cry after that error. I thought overall he was pretty good, but that was a big mistake. And if you're interested, Andre Brooks did once score for Bradford Park Avenue in the National League back in 2022. And I seem to remember him scoring for us, correct me if I'm wrong, in pre-season at Harrogate in a friendly. Help. West Brom were still creating space. Our midfield today, at times, was completely ineffectual. I was very concerned about our midfield. Jackie Longthrow, thought he was pretty good first half, some good defending. There was one moment to deny a through ball on 29 minutes, which could have been costly. Carlin Grant, who I thought was good for West Brom, I thought he did what a forward player should do in this match. He created things for himself when he didn't have always people doing it for him wherever he was popping up, left, right, centre. And he had a shot saved on 32 by Cooper. This was when he was popping up on the left, cut in and shot on that right foot. The shot was parried, and then the ball landed perfectly to Tom Fellows, and he fired over from inside the 6-yard box. A truly shocking miss. And, that's a game where you look back on it and go, that was the moment where it should have been 1-1. And who knows how the game would have played out after that. And by hook or by crooks, thanks, Mark, for that one, we were still in the lead, and it wasn't going to last. Malumbi was pulled back by Gus Harmer. Another cheap yellow for Gus. There's been so many through the season, 9 to be exact. And it's not even January yet, Gus. What are you playing at? He's already served a one-match ban for picking up 5 yellows. And I just think with all the injuries that the Blades have got at the moment, we don't need him to miss a crucial upcoming match with suspension. 10 yellows before match week 32 will result in a 2-match ban. And we nearly saw Harmer get sent off in this game for a second yellow, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. We did have a West Brom goal. Carlin Grant, again, thought was very good. Did level on 45. A good strike, and no less really than the Baggies deserved. I've got to be fair. It felt like it had been coming. And, it was after it had been a good spell of pressure from the Baggies. It felt like this was coming from sort of 5-10 minutes before it actually did. Grant took a good first touch on the edge of the box, picked his spot, fired into the back of the net in front of the Kop. I hate conceding in the Kop end. No chance for Michael, or Mike as he goes by on social media, Cooper. And, you knew then that the second half was poised nicely. I think if you're a neutral, you probably would have enjoyed the second half more than the first, even though all the goals came in the first half, just because second half, particularly at the end, was pretty frenetic. 1-1 going into the half, and second half, West Brom started stronger. A vital touch, I remember, from Cooper after a cross from the right. Gilchrist ending up in the back of the net, hurt. Alfie Gilchrist, I've seen some speculation about Premier League clubs interested in him. I've said it so many times on the channel that I think he is a centre-back. It's not his fault that he's not maybe as tall as a regular centre-back would be. I do think sometimes on the right, he can leave players in space. And I do think wingers, we saw today, wingers having big games. And Gilchrist ending up in the back of the net hurt. I don't know if he was dazed or whatever, but he wasn't quite as effective after that. Johnston and Fellows causing United issues out wide, I thought, pretty much all game. Grant had a shot on 54, Cooper equal to it. But West Brom, I thought they were really turning the screw. And United had no answer for large portions of this game. The crowd even at one point started to turn. There was a big moment of frustration after Callum O'Hare cheaply gave the ball away, and the away side were just keeping the ball and looking very calm. Certainly at the start of the second half. I thought Kiefer Moore was really struggling in this game and overall today. Let me know if you disagree. Goalmouth melee on 63. A few decent chances for the Blades. Moore, O'Hare, Gilchrist all had a go. In fact, Gilchrist's shot did hit a West Brom arm. I mean, it wasn't given as a penalty, close range. It actually hit the West Brom player's side and then his elbow. Ref deciding, presumably, I think you'd agree with this, not intentional from the Baggies defender. I think it was Hegem. Again, good player. I think he started every game for West Brom as well. United then started having a bit more of the ball. And second half, we finally came alive. We had it in West Brom's half. It was encouraging to see. The tempo lifted. The crowd responded. It was just better is what you'd want to see. Brooks trying to make things happen. And in doing so, actually caught Malumbi. He lunged in. He just sort of took a slightly heavy touch. It wasn't malicious, wasn't intentional, but he did pick up a yellow on 69. His third yellow of the season. Brooks, I thought, was really good in this game. There was one moment I really liked when he nutmegged his man in his own half, ran through the middle of the pitch, a brilliant break, passed it to Callum O'Hare. And Callum O'Hare took a heavy touch, and then Diakite shoulder barged him over in the box. A lot of people might have thought that was a penalty. Stuart Atwell, not interested. And then we saw changes for both the Baggies and the Blades. Dean Nagana, and Devante Cole. Do you remember when we were interested in him? Thank goodness we didn't sign him. On for the away side, and United brought on Rhian Brewster for Peck. Peck was not 100% Peck today. It's a couple of games where he hasn't been quite at it. Maybe he's tiring. He wouldn't have expected to be playing as much first-team football as he has this season. That's been an issue because of the injury to Ollie Arblaster, these kind of being forced to play. 72 minutes, Tom Davies had his shirt pulled in the box as he attempted an overhead effort on goal. Not given. This was a penalty. With VAR, I feel like that gets given, and that changes the entire game. And that was probably the best thing that Tom Davies did in the second half. On 80, Callum O'Hare fouled Malumbi outside the box, but in a really dangerous area. And they didn't use it because Wallace hit it. It was on target, but it was at Cooper and he saved it. Brewster had one of the worst shots I think I've ever seen at Bramall Lane on 82 minutes from the left-hand side. It actually went out for a throw-in. It was dreadful. Do you remember when Brewster did something like that at Luton away as well? Sometimes that lad, I want him to do so well. Malumbi committed a fair few fouls, by the way, in this one, and the ref didn't seem too interested in getting that yellow card out, and that really frustrated me as well. On 85, a brilliant cross from Harrison Burrows again. I thought he was good going forward. Header from O'Hare that went behind him. It was a weird one. I couldn't tell if the cross was behind, and that's why O'Hare's header went backwards, or O'Hare's just not very good in the air. I don't know. We've seen O'Hare be decent in the air this season, but that one wasn't. And then Brooks did brilliantly to keep the whole move alive, to get it to Brewster. He fired it across to Brewster. He was on the left-hand side. Kind of an open net. He was very, very close to goal, but he fired it over, and I'll be fair to him, it was a really difficult angle. Brewster then passed the ball. The next chance he got to touch it straight out for a throw, and I pulled all my hair out and then was sick everywhere. Callum Styles, the Hungarian, was booked by Stuart Atwell. He got that yellow finally out for a foul on Brooks on 86 as he jumped into the back of him, and it was a case of Brooks just won it first, then Styles just clattered into him. But then I thought we were going to see another yellow. Harmer, he really got away with one on 89. Wasn't given a second yellow for a trip, and probably on another day would have been. I thought he was really lucky there. The last thing we would have needed was a red card. I mean, it could have completely changed this game, never mind games that he would then go on and miss. West Brom appealed for a penalty on 90 minutes. This was an interesting one. Waved away as Anel did actually pull Hegem. And then the ref added 5 minutes on. It would end up being a little bit more than that. We saw Cooper clear a corner superbly. He's just so good at that. As the pressure at the end initially came from the away side, then the pendulum swung, it changed. Couple of Blades sort of half chances, long throws. I mean, Jack Robinson's long throws infuriate me so much because they're often far too close to the keeper. And that was the case again. Just sort of, pathetic really that you could aim for someone. Maybe he is, but feels like he's always aiming for where the keeper can just come. I would say throw it to the edge of the box, cause a bit of mayhem. It was pulsating. It was a decent end to the game, certainly for a neutral. We saw a bizarre clearance from West Brom to lead to a Blades corner right at the end, but nothing came of it. Our set pieces have been very disappointing at times this season. And another draw with the Baggies. A fair result. The Blades going back top of the table by 2:30 in the afternoon. Probably will change. And another draw for West Brom, the draw specialists, the draw masters, the draw artists, call them what you want. Let's go to the general comments on the game as we, again, look at points dropped. And I think many of us would have thought that before this game, we could have got something from that. Peter Brewster ball. Yeah, I think just disappointing today for Rhian as much as it was the whole result. Dublin Blades says, disappointing game. We've a lot of injuries down to the bare bones, but thought we still had enough to win the game. Agreed. Big window. I think it's a huge window. I think it needs to be early. Our business in January needs to be done early. And yeah, thanks Chad for the watch long. I was watching Chad's watch long. He did a cracking job. You can get those on this channel. Chris says we have injuries. That's undeniable. Like I mentioned, 8 big injuries. We still had enough in us to win this game. Moore isn't a lone striker. Could not agree more. And we don't cross enough to utilise him properly. We've been linked with Ollie McBurney by a couple of sources today. I'm not sure Ollie McBurney fits into this system, but I think Ollie McBurney works well in a 2. We've mostly seen him in his Blades career playing in a 2. I think Kiefer Moore works well in a 2. Could those two play together? Don't know. Some might say they're a bit too similar, but I do think we need a striker. God, do we need a striker? And maybe it needs to be someone very, very different to what we already have. Moore and Brewster have to be the worst attackers I've ever seen, says Dylan. If Wilder wants height at the striker position, then I'd rather see Anel. At least he can pass and dribble. Interesting. I remember Neil Warnock throwing Chris Morgan up front. And of course, we saw John Terry go up front under Mourinho at one point. Not looking good for this busy season. Players we have left already exhausted, said Simon. I did speculate a few weeks ago that this would be the time if we were ever going to drop points because the injuries mounting up and it is just so frenetic. This busy part of the season. This is when you can't really afford to drop points. And it's actually when we have been dropping points. And I'm really worried because sometimes we're great after Christmas. Historically, famously, under Bassett, that's when we'd start playing. But we've also seen seasons, like under Danny Wilson, where second half of the season's where it falls away. I don't actually think this will happen because I think January business will be done early. I think it will be good business. I think we'll bring in someone like, we might even bring in Ben Brereton Diaz. And I've spoken about him already on our transfer rumours. There's just so many rumours surrounding him. Why wouldn't we? Maybe bring in a midfielder. I mentioned Hamza Chowdhury on the previous video. I think he could be quite useful, certainly with our blaster out for the season. The refereeing this season has been atrocious, but Atwell was equally as dreadful for both teams. Yeah, I do agree with that. Brooks is better than Jazza Rak-Saki, says Alessandro. Unreal performance from him. I've been a big Brooks fan. If you watch the previous match reaction I did say it was time for Brooks a few weeks ago. But not to repeat myself, big January needed to bulk up the squad depth. More poor again. Tired of the excuses for more. He doesn't work for us. But he did. He did work for us at Cardiff, and that was only a few games ago. Callum watching from Panenka Bar and Grill, which is a sponsor of this channel. So if you get a chance to support Panenka, it's the official matchday bar of the Sheff United way, both pre and post game. And you'll find in good nick there at the moment if you want to go in. And why not make it your game tradition to actually pop in there. Tom Davies played like he was drunk. Do you know what I would say, Chris? Let's be fair. This guy's been out for a long, long time, as you know, understandable, as you say, returned from injury. He's being asked now to play quite a lot of football. Yeah, he didn't play well today. Absolutely right. And that yellow for Harmer was because someone lost possession high up. Yes, and he did take one for the team. It's sort of like a foul he felt like he had to make. Absolutely, I probably should have mentioned that. But luckily you did, so I did, winning. Moore is lazy and useless, not a team player. Yeah, I mean, that's your opinion, Julie. I don't know if he would describe himself as lazy, but he doesn't move as much as we'd hope. I mean, what is he, 33 now? It was an interesting signing. I'll leave it at that. Alessandro, would have been nice to just brave it and sub on those kids just for fresh legs and stop West Brom's good spell. How much worse could Marsh have been than Moore? I guess Wilder's thinking might be if he brings on some of the kids and we lose, that's a very easy stick to beat him with, isn't it? It's very easy to blame him if that had happened. But then again, you've got to be brave as a manager, haven't you? And I wouldn't have minded seeing Marsh on the last couple of games. Moore isn't going to break the lines, that's right, and make runs through the middle. Agreed. He needs a player alongside him. Absolutely. O'Hare, for all his running, never seems to be in the right place for knockdowns. I don't know if that's the game plan, actually. Maybe it is. And if it is, then O'Hare needs to start playing as a 10. A lot more of it as a 10 because he drops too deep. Free kicks for being touched on the shoulder, but no penalty for a shoulder barge with no attempt to play the ball. How? Yeah, Okie Blade, it's a good point. I mean, he didn't try to play the ball. He didn't get anywhere near the ball. Anywhere else on the pitch, that shoulder barge, I think Stuart Atwell gives. But for some reason, refs, they're very reluctant to give things like that in the box. It's a big decision, of course, given a penalty. Brewster was crap. Tom Davies was garbage. Kiefer Moore, not good today. Eamon, you have summed up what I said in less words. The Davis penalty shout, the pull on him pulled him into a better position for the overhead kick, comically enough. Yeah, I suppose it did. Still went wide. Harmer 100% should have seen second yellow. I think overall we got lucky with a lot today. Brewster, hit and hope. Absolutely useless, says King for a day. Oh, Chris says Ben Brereton Diaz not in the Saints squad and Chowdhury only on the bench. And then those eyes. What do those eyes mean? We should have had 2 pens. I've brought them up. I think that's fair. Did we deserve to win by 2 extra pens today? You know, West Brom will claim they should have definitely had a penalty with the NL foul on Hegem if you get a chance to see it again. A big, fast beast of a striker needed, but one up front for us will never get us a hatful of goals. Been saying it all season. I know I got criticism for it a little earlier because we were riding high, but I think you've got to look ahead and see potential problems, and we need a plan B from the start. Again, Hal, your sources must be on the same page as mine. Never know what you're talking about with that, Chris. I have no sources. I've got mint sauce that I ordered a little earlier today from a lovely takeaway where we got a little Sunday roast. Looking forward to that. Brooks, excellent. Brewster, useless. What a contrast. And actually, Brooks playing on the right. Brewster in the last game was meant to be playing as a 10, often found himself on the right. I thought Brooks did a lot more today. Can't help thinking that West Brom were there for the taking while they are without a manager. Chris Brunt in temporary charge. Of course, Carlos Corberán, Christmas Eve, going to Valencia. And we'll see how he gets on there. They just continue drawing, though. So really, no change under a different manager. The dip has been coming, says, yep. That reminds me of The Land Before Time. Don't know how many people will get that reference because I'm old. We're threadbare. Good point in my opinion. I think it was a good point. I think we will look at that, dust ourselves down, and generally just move on. As I will do now with this video, as ever, thank you so much for watching or listening, wherever you happen to be. Up the blades. They come thick and fast. Ollie Burke.
Ole, ole, ole. Ole, ole, ole.